Hi, I'm Gina-R-Farrar. Welcome to the Feminine Roadmap Podcast, a global community of women in midlife. We gather here weekly over a cup of something wonderful for real talk, life-changing strategies, and a big dose of sisterhood. Now, please sit back and enjoy. Hello, Feminine Roadmappers. It's Gina here. Welcome back to Feminine Roadmap Podcast, the podcast that helps you navigate the challenges and the changes of midlife and gives you the tools to live a more vibrant second half. Today, we're going to be talking to my guests about Ayurveda. They believe that in the body's inherent ability to heal and thrive, and that true healing comes from the inside out, requiring a whole body, whole life approach. My two guests are Dr. Nair, who is a doctor of modern medicine with a keen interest in complementary and traditional medicine, and Dr. Trupti. She is the expert in Ayurveda, especially on the feminine side. So today, doctors, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Gina, for having us.
Fantastic. Now, I don't know which one of you would like to go first, Dr. Nair or Dr. Trupti, but I'd love to have you explain a little bit about what Ayurveda is, what it does, and how it can help us live a healthier life.
Okay, let me just start with an approach that I feel your listeners will enjoy. So, as my background is more on world medicine, and I consider myself a student of world medicine, my entire point and approach is as a devil's advocate. Main thing is to make sure whatever we are getting into, we are going through all the meters of validation, whether it's socially or scientifically. So when Ayurveda came to me back when I was having issues with stress, back pain, and everything, I had approached Ayurveda in a way most of us have approached. In US especially, most people do not realize that they are already practicing forms of Ayurveda without them knowing. So if you're taking a turmeric product, you're practicing Ayurveda. If you're talking about personalized, customized wellness, you're already talking about Ayurveda. So Ayurveda derives from Sanskrit word Ayur and Veda. So Ayur means life or longevity, and Veda means knowledge. So Ayurveda literally means the science of life or knowledge of living a long life. And how I like to portray is Ayurveda is all about functional longevity. So even if you're 80 years old, you're 90 years old, you're still able to function. You're still able to do so much of your stuff on your own without having dependencies on others. And you're still having your cognitive abilities, because that's something we really lose with age. So Ayurveda is all about how to create a way of life. So where, when we are talking about health, you're talking about that absence of disease in physical, mental, or any state, and wellness being the path to that health. So, in that same way, Ayurveda's entire approach is to have a very personalized outlook where it not only takes in consideration whatever you're doing as your habits and everything, but it also takes in the consideration the environment we are living in, the psychological struggles we are having on a daily basis. So, and I'm talking about something that wellness is talking about now, like, personalized wellness and everything. So Ayurveda was following this almost 5,000 years back.
Mm-hmm. So just so that I understand, there's three things that you said that I think are helpful if someone like me is not as knowledgeable. Ayurveda literally means the knowledge of living or life, and that the difference between health and wellness, health is the absence of disease, whereas wellness is the path to that health. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. That's very clear. Thank you so much.
So how we have now been trying to set up, like the whole point is now Ayurveda has been reduced to herbology. So what we try to do, the biomedical concept of medicine, we try to find an active ingredient or a plant with some properties, and then we try to make medicine out of that. Okay, but so things like turmeric, ashwagandha, which many of our people are taking, these all came from Ayurvedic research. But Ayurveda has never talked about just, which I like to define as the Popeye and the spinach complex. Like somewhere you have the spinach, and if you just take that, it'll make you the Popeye you're looking for. And our thing is Ayurveda has always been about how you go in and out of your daily frame of life So what is your daily routine, your morning routine? What is the first thing that you're doing to empower yourself? And if somebody asks me, like, how do you determine someone's wellness status? So I have like three questions that we can ask ourselves. Number one being, am I waking up with enthusiasm in the morning? For the whole day to go around, or am I waking up with like feeling very despondent or feeling depressed or something of that nature? Second is, am I achieving my sleep naturally? Do I
Mm.
need lot of products? Am I consuming something to get better sleep? And it can be, people like to take heavy meals also to put them to sleep. So it is not just about prescription pills or melatonin or something. Is that how do you achieve sleep naturally? And third thing which I say is, are you able to excrete your bodily fluids optimally? And this is something we don't like to talk about, but this simple thing is the most determinal to our health. If we are, even Navy SEAL training, they literally teach soldiers first is how to poop properly. And it's so important, because just imagine if you're in an extremely stressful situation, but you need to hit the bathroom again and again because you're feeling constipated. So how would you function? So these are the three questions that I would love to your listeners to ask themselves before they assess their own wellness status, before they get into complicated things like
Mm.
nutrition, exercise routine, or anything.
Mm. And that's such a back to the holistic idea. It's really pairing it back to the basic functions of our body, right? How are we
Yes.
functioning on a basic level before we jump to symptoms, backing it up and kind of getting a baseline on the key things, like you said, um, bodily function, sleep, and I guess mental attitude when you wake up in the morning is what it sounds like, where your frame of mind is at as part of your wellness. Am I correct?
100%. I mean, mental
Yes.
framework is all, from the beginning of the day, we have to, it just prepares you. Like I have someone had told me, like, if you win your mornings, you win your day. Okay,
Mm.
so it's as simple as that.
In addition to that, I would say when we want to answer yes to these three questions, this is directly attached to our lifestyle choices. So
Mm.
Ayurvedic practices aim to promote state of complete well-being combined with our lifestyle choices. And definitely these are characterized by our personal responsibility. So we need to be introspect, we need to ask ourselves. And if we want to answer yes, we need to put some efforts for that.
Mhm.
Right? So it's definitely a lifestyle choices. Yeah.
Mm. Which is so basic. I mean, what you're
Yes.
saying seems like it should be so common sense, but you hear the saying that common sense is not always common practice. And I think in the world that we live in the speed that we tend to live, in terms of how we live, how fast we eat, and the information coming in, it really is
Yes.
a shift in tempo of life to even begin to understand whether or not I'm handling these baselines well, it seems like to me.
How I would like to
Yes.
position and add to what you just said, Nina, is like we have become from a participant of our own life now
Mm.
being a consumer. We
Mm.
are either consuming entertainment, we are, it's kind of like, I would like to say, a debauchery kind of a way we have been, and it's not our fault. It's how the world has been designed around us. Everything is like, you look at the diseases which are common now, which we like to call as lifestyle disorders. So extensive study on lifestyle disorders had occurred because these diseases used to be common in royalty, in nobility, because they had the access to. So what are the common diseases? Obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and which I like to say is nothing but abundance of salt, fat, and sugar in your own body. So before that, it was age of scarcity. So these diseases were not that common among us. But now all of us eats like king and queens. When we go to eat, we really are eating like it's going to be either a last meal, or we're like, oh, it has to be done. We won't get this food tomorrow, or something of that perception. And that desire has been made within us. It has been manufactured within us. We have a fear of missing out. You see that behavior even on social media and everything. Okay, so but I also am very hopeful in now compared to years back. We have more access to knowledge, and COVID especially, the pandemic has changed how now our entire outlook to health and wellness is. Before, we were totally outsourcing these decisions to our doctors, to our physicians, and everything. But we are now genuinely asking the right questions because we are looking for the most naturalistic way of doing things. And it's all about, as you mentioned in the beginning, your body's inherent ability to take care of itself. Because the fact of the matter, it doesn't matter whether you're taking antibiotics, you're taking herbal supplements, vaccinations, whatever it is. Everything depends on your own body's immune system and its own ability to take care of itself. If that is weakened, all the drugs will not help. And that's what Ayurveda, and as you just said, how basic things that we are talking in Ayurveda, same thing is extended to yoga. Yoga is literally teaching us how to breathe. That's it. It's so powerful when you think that we are the only species that needs to be taught how to breathe.
I have to say that using breathing as a tool to cope with these stressors that you're talking about is so powerful. How it affects the brain, how it affects your heart. You can feel how the breath is changing if you breathe shallow, if you breathe deeply. My husband is a shallow breather naturally. He breathes short. I try to slow his breathing down sometimes, I hassle him. Time to breathe. But it really does give you a better frame of mind. I think breathing is powerful. Plus with yoga, which we can get into if you like, yoga, the practice of the fitness side, I guess is the word I'm looking for, is also a tool to slow you down because the moves take time. And we live in such a fast-paced world that it's almost uncomfortable at first to breathe slower, to move slower, to eat slower. But when we do, there's a calm or a peacefulness that kind of comes over the body, at least for me.
Because I would say because we can find balance between our body and mind. It's all about finding the balance, finding the right balance for ourselves. Because for everybody, being slower or faster is different. Right? So it's yoga says the same thing. Whenever we are doing any posture, whenever we are doing anything, we should not compare ourselves with the picture or whoever person is doing, right? We have to stay within our limits, within our body and mind, wherever our body and mind is taking us. We have to stay within those limits and practice yoga. So it's all about talking to yourself. It's all about knowing your own body and mind and finding that balance. And Ayurveda tells us the same thing.
So I just want to add here is that this is again a very weird phenomena that happens outside India, where yoga has been separated out of Ayurveda. And yoga in itself definitely is a system. There's no question about it. But Ayurveda and yoga are actually from the same school of thought. So same philosophy of how to take care of yourself. So and they're very much intertwined. It's just like, if we are talking about whether surgeons are better than physicians, but they both are required in the modern framework. You cannot create a system without them. So in the same way, Ayurveda and yoga are very much intertwined, but they exist in this weird dichotomy. And what, as Dr. Trupti was mentioning, yoga, the very word means union. So what is it union of? Okay, it's your physical self and your mental self coming together, and the cement is your breathing, because that is the most voluntary thing you are able to control, and through that you are able to extend that to your heart functions, brain functions, stomach functions, and that is the power and beauty about breath. That how and this is the same philosophy that even extends not just in yoga, in Tai Chi, it also extends to martial arts. That it's all in the breath.
That's so powerful. And back to what I'm wondering, you're talking about the world has been designed around us, if you will, for the speed, you got to act now, right? You don't have time, if you will. The feeling is you don't have time, right? You don't have time to make this decision. You don't have time to stop. You don't have time to, eat a healthy meal. You've got to grab and go, right? Like it has been designed that way. So what I'm kind of picturing in my mind is your mission is to help people understand that we have the ability to live the healthier life within us by the choices that we make and the lifestyle that we choose. we can choose to slow down. We can choose to do these things. And in effect, it will redirect our bodies and our minds in a direction toward wellness and health. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And today, what we are trying to do is we always try to find out solutions outside, right? Supplements or medicines, herbs, whatever, what other people are doing. Maybe people have, celebrity. Something is working for them. They eat like that, or they have that kind of breakfast or things like that, right? And we always try to find out solution outside, but there's a solution inside always. So we have to introspect because we are doing yoga or no matter what we are doing, if our body and mind is not involved, until we do it, nothing is going to work. It's a two-way process always. So solution is always inside us, and that's what Ayurveda teaches us. Like, let's say we have mentioned some lifestyle disorders. In today's world, lifestyle disorders like diabetes, high blood pressure, raised cholesterol, obesity, or if we are talking about females, PCOD, PCOS, or hypothyroidism, these things are very common, even anxiety, depression, right? These things are very common even among kids. They easily talk, I'm anxious, I have anxiety, I have depression, right? But back in days, maybe let's say 30, 40 years back, they were not that common. So today what we are doing is these things have become a definition of health, right? To define health, we are taking help of these diseases. We are saying, okay, I don't have diabetes, I don't have raised cholesterol, that means I'm healthy. Why it should be like that? Why are we talking about some group of diseases, and if we don't have that, that means I'm healthy? Is it really like that? As Dr. Nurag mentioned before, we have only simple three questions to ask us, right? If we are not evacuating properly, or if we are not sleeping naturally, that doesn't mean we are healthy. Or not having these diseases, that doesn't mean we are healthy. Sometimes I think like maybe after 50 years, people will think, oh, I just have diabetes, I'm healthy. That's fine. Because it's so common.
Yeah.
Right? Or they might just say that, yeah, that's okay. My blood pressure is a little bit high. I'm okay. And that happens. Like when I do consultations, that happens. I ask people, do you take any medication regularly? Oh, no, I just take one pill for high blood pressure and one for cholesterol. I'm healthy. I don't take anything else. So that has become very much normal, where definition of health and wellness is being changed in people's mind. They just feel like, okay, a lot of other people have this, I don't have this, that means I'm healthy. And that is something we want to change. We want to educate people. We want to let them understand what is health and wellness and how body and mind is interconnected. What is the whole body and whole mind approach?
You know, when you were talking, I thought it's a real subtractive way of looking at life. We're not adding health, right? We're subtracting. We're saying, well, if this baseline of health, like diabetes, obesity, whatever, I'm not taking medications for that, so therefore I'm healthy. It's more subtractive, right? Instead of moving forward in our health, we're going, oh, if I don't have this, it equals healthy. Instead of if I do have this, if I am functioning properly, sleeping well, not needing to self-medicate or whatever. That's really interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. And it is true. We're using a measurement outside of ourselves. And just as a side note, I had Graves' disease in my 30s. And I remember thinking, they test your thyroid and they say, oh, your thyroid is normal. But no one tested my thyroid until I got gravely ill. Like, what if my normal is a little different than somebody else's normal? But we don't know until you get sick.
So I would say, yeah, definitely. That is a wonderful point, because there are a lot of people in this world, they are borderline. Unless something is detected in their blood test, doctor is not going to say that they have that disease or they have that deficiency, and they are not going to give them supplement or whatever is needed. So these borderline people, they never know until sometimes it is accidentally detected. Like this is like diverticulosis. A lot of people, they don't even know they have it. Accidentally, they go for some endoscopy or colonoscopy for some other reason, and they find out about this. Same thing goes with thyroid. Like a lot of ladies, they come to us, I have hair fall, I have acne, my weight is going up. Even if I'm not eating anything, I'm drinking water, I'm putting on. That's how they talk, because that is very true. When they compare their body with someone else, someone else eating more than them, they are skinnier, but they feel like whatever I'm eating, whatever I'm drinking, I'm just putting on weight. It's very hard for me to lose weight. But the real problem when they come to us, because you can see the hair fall, you can see there is acne, you can see your weight is not going down, but you are not able to see that your thyroid is not functioning properly, right? So I always give example to my clients. Let's say you have to make $100 every day to live, for example, right? You're making 99, your body is getting 99. So what happens is after a few days, your body will try to adapt and live in that 99. $1 for a day, it sounds very less, but consider 10 years. Consider 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Then end of the day, what happens is your body will try to adapt and just live with that less hormone or less functioning, right? But whatever damage, or I won't say damage, but less functioning will have less effect on good health or wellness, right? So what happens is after 10 years, when there's a trigger or when it is accidentally detected under blood test or whatever, you give your example. So that time we are alert. Oh my God, I have deficiency or I have this. And then we go for hormone replacement. And so these borderline people, even for diabetes, cholesterol, all this, these borderline people always suffer. Even talk about kidney disease, CKD, chronic kidney disease. Until person goes in stage 4 or 5, we don't know. They don't know. And by the time it's too late.
It's that cumulative effect that you're talking about.
Yes.
Go ahead.
There is a cumulative effect also, Gina, and main thing is how the system is designed. So in the name of healthcare, what we are practicing is sick care. I'm waiting for you to get sick. And only then I will be able to give you anything. Yes. And that is the central edict of Ayurveda. Basically, it's a shloka, swasthasya swasthya rakshanam mathurasya vikara prashamana. So what basically it's coming is how to keep the healthy. So with Dr. Trupti's point of borderline patients, a very true thyroid, insulin issues. You have so many pre-diabetic patients. You have people, they are not yet to that level where they need that kind of medications, but they are being put into that. Okay, and they and that choice should be there. Most of the things, and this has nothing to do with modern medicine and Ayurveda. Even in modern medicine, diet is a very important factor, which is now being promoted on their own. Okay, but it was never being. And this is more to do with commercialization of medicine. Not with exactly like, I will never say like there is a Western medicine or Eastern medicine, because I personally do not believe, like if you go travel the world, medicine being practiced in France, medicine being practiced in Germany, there's so much of differences. Look at how US and Canada practice their medicine. So how can we, try to put them in one single group? And the same is true with Eastern practices.
It's taking a mindset shift toward the power that we have on our own decisions with our bodies too. I feel like people get really caught up in my family, XYZ. Like we lump ourselves with groups of people. And while we might have tendencies towards something, back talking about like epigenetics, flipping the switch on and off in our bodies. But I think as I'm processing everything that you're sharing, it's really a stepping back into the power that we have in our own bodies and minds is the basic kind of heart of Ayurveda, is to stop looking around us and really look within and listen to our bodies, which is something I say a lot, but I think that people don't understand what that looks like, because if you've never paid attention to that niggling feeling, or people get used to living under par and they start to change their eating and they feel worse at first, while their body adjusts, that sort of thing. It can be a little bit of a windy road to get to a better place, I think, and trusting that process may be something people need to lean into.
And adding to that, to just simplify our entire message, it's like Ayurveda and yoga. There are 3 P's to it. Okay, the first P is what we mentioned is participation. We have to actively participate in our own health. Okay, that's as basic as that. You cannot outsource this function. Okay, second part is promotion. How do you promote your own health? And how do you promote health all around us? Because you cannot be the only healthy individual walking around while everyone around you is being sick. Okay, it will create a very a bad mental space. Okay, and the third aspect is prevention. If we just focus on these three P's, especially the last one being prevention, most of us will never, like, it will be in a very late stage in life, or unless some accident or something happens where we'll be even requiring any sort of medicinal help.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are currently seeing, especially with remote workers and current this every IT consultant, the predominance of cardiac events now happening in young individuals. It is so scary. In between age group, the things that you used to hear, oh, is a 60-year-old or a late 50s, it's very much now happening in late 30s and 40s. And all this
Yes.
has to do with stress and the age of the way we are living. One aspect also which we wanted to discuss is how, and very relevant with feminine roadmap, is how Ayurveda is we are trying to reimagine for modern women. Okay, and there's where Dr. Trupti can add more light to this statement, like how we are now trying to signify and create systems in which modern women can use Ayurvedic and yoga's principles and everything in their daily life.
In midlife, there's a lot of added stress and added pressure, which is why I started my podcast, because there's so many things. So I'm really interested, Dr. Trupti, to hear how Ayurveda could be a tool in the belt of a woman who's in this place where the pressure is actually very high and there's a lot of transition and
Yes.
change happening.
Yes. And there's a pressure from work side, from family side, a lot of responsibilities and health, of course, right? So when we talk about modern women, especially if we are talking about after pandemic or during pandemic, most of us are working from home, sitting in front of laptop or computer, any device for longer time, right? So our biological clock is disturbed, definitely, because we don't drink enough water or liquid intake, we don't track it. We are busy with our meetings. So most of the times what happens is our professional and personal life is mixing up, right? We don't have that clear demarcation like before. We used to get ready, go to the office, come back. So we had some set routine or set biological clock, and definitely body will take time to adapt this new change in us, and body will show some effects, right? Definitely our sleeping habits when we get up, and we have lot of digital devices around us. Since we are working from home, we are surrounded by all these screens, right? Screen time is more now, and we are exposed to this blue light a lot, and we are not resting. I mean, our brain is not resting, right? We know what is office syndrome. What happens is that physically we are less stressful, we are not moving around a lot, but mentally we are very stressful. So we have no time to rest our brain. One after another, something is going on, office or social media or phone, something is happening. So we have to rest a little bit, having designated breaks or having our fixed biological clock is very important. According to our, like for you and for me, things will be different, right? Based on our health, based on our body type, things are different. So that's what Ayurveda tells us. It should be more customized. One thing cannot fit everybody, should be more customized. And so we have to be, that's why we have to be introspect. We have to ask ourselves these things, right? Just we are taking care of what? Hair fall or acne or things like that. But we have to find out the root cause from where it is coming. And we have to try to fix it, fix the root cause. And when we talk about modern women, or it's all about finding that work-life balance. We always talk about it and having optimal mental health along with our physical health, because they are interconnected. If one thing is affected, other thing will be affected for sure. So how do we find out that work-life balance? How do we make our routine better? Very simple things. Drinking water. Just if we switch our drinking cold or ice water, if we are drinking, if we just switch that to warm water, that is going to make huge difference in our health, in our digestion. We are sitting whole day mostly. So if we try to spend little bit of time, at least 30 minutes on some physical activities during the break, or giving time to ourselves, other than just skin and hair care, right? For entire body and mind. And definitely if we have to take care about our diet, right? Tracking the nutrition, or finding out what we are eating and how we are eating, how we are cooking, or how we're eating. First, we have to track what we are doing. Then we will be able to see what we need to fix or what we need to do. That's why it's along with work or along with whatever pressure we have, definitely if we try to educate ourselves about Ayurveda and Ayurvedic lifestyle, I wouldn't say this Ayurvedic lifestyle, this is needed for everybody. Every one of us can adapt this and have better wellness and well-being for sure.
Mm. I love how you focused a little bit on the fact that we tend to focus on symptoms instead of root causes. I think that in itself, back to your point about that $1 short a day, if I'm focusing on just the symptom is just a warning that there's something else. That's how I look at symptoms.
Yes.
But if we just
Yes.
mask the symptom and we don't deal with the underlying issue, are we not losing $1 a day over time?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of thyroid issues.
Yes.
You're seeing a lot of adrenal system issues going on.
Let's say simple constipation. People don't think constipation is a problem. They just live with it.
And
Right?
and
So
you know what's
things like
interesting is that could be a mineral deficiency. Like you could drink a lot of water and eat fiber, but maybe I'm sorry, I'm thinking and talking at the same time, which isn't working very well. I feel like that's why we have to slow down and begin to understand ourselves, because your issue, let's say you have constipation and I have constipation. There might be a different attack to solve that issue based on whether or not we have been getting enough magnesium in our body, or
yes.
getting enough water in our body,
Yes.
or getting enough movement. You might be okay in magnesium and not drinking enough water. I might be drinking gallons of water, but not getting enough magnesium and movement. So it really
Fiber.
is.
Fiber
Pardon?
is so important. Fiber.
And Dr. Nair, when you talk about fiber, I know this seems like a basic question, but you hear words all the time, right? You see it everywhere. Fiber, fiber, fiber. When you say fiber, seriously, tell me what are you saying when you say fiber? What's that? You tell someone to eat more fiber. What do you mean?
So basically, fiber is, if I explain in a modern medical term, soluble and insoluble fibers. So most of the products that we see are the the soluble type, the Metamucil and all those kind of products. But so you need both fiber, the insoluble and soluble variant, to create the right consistency for your stomach function to optimally evacuate. And that comes from sources like fruits, which has skin, like apples. Then salads for sure, but we also have this, like Ayurveda is very much against cold salads. Okay, Ayurveda has this thing that food should be cooked, or food should be semi-processed. It should be broken down. There is a whole aspect with fire that fire allows us to break the complex proteins and cellulose that these plant structures have. So only things like fruit and all can be eaten raw and all. But Ayurveda is generally subjectively anti-salad if you do the basic readings. But my entire point here is, apart from fruits and salads, there are other things which also have fiber. We don't like to eat animal skin. If we are eating meat also, like chicken skin is generally avoided, fish skin is generally avoided, but these have added nutrients which you really, really need to get into. And we are just missing on all that nutrient profile. So they definitely, I wouldn't say an excellent source of fiber, but they definitely add to things we are already, skimping off. And coming apart from this is the posture that we are sitting in. A simple invention that came from Shark Tank, Scotty Potty.
Yeah.
It has become so famous, like this thing. That basic, what is it exactly trying to do? It is trying to make you squat. Squat is the most natural position for humans to take, but it has become so tough for us for now to getting into and getting out of squats in that position. And this is again a very much a modern phenomena. Okay, and this is again a very big problem that contributes to constipation because of you're not able to take the right angles. So these basic changes. You're not talking about any complicated medication or surgery. Just the change of position, a little inclusive of fiber, water in your diet, And as you mentioned, micronutrients like magnesium, but magnesium deficiency is very rare compared to people not drinking water and not having fiber. So that's my entire take to that.
Hmm. Hmm. I do have a question about, do you find that people from different parts of the world might do better with certain kinds of food because of their, I guess, biology from that culture, say like Asia
Gina,
versus like
that is
Scandinavian?
that is exactly what Ayurveda says. If your grandmother cannot recognize a certain food or a grain or something, you should try to avoid it. Now, this how we are right now formulating things is we follow trends. Like everyone starts eating quinoa, everyone became keto, everyone became this thing. It's absurd. That's not how our body functions. Like people are there who are trying to say absolute vegetarian diets, and people are trying to say absolute meat eating diets. But there have been extensive communities like Eskimos. They live in absolute meat diet, but they eat everything of the catch they find or the hunt they find. Nothing is when gone for waste. And the most extensive vegetarian studies are actually based out of Okinawa in Japan. Okay, so they have a documented 1,000-year-old history of eating vegetarian food. So you can clearly see that people can have totally different habits. Okay, but they are living longer. It's about how you are able to acclimatize to every other thing. What is happening right now is like, which I like to call the law of the exotics, is that if I go now into an Indian household, a cosmopolitan household, my chance of finding rice bran oil, sunflower oil, and olive oil is much higher. And if I go to an American cosmopolitan home, they will be having ghee, they will be having coconut oil.
True.
You know, and this phenomena that is happening, this is due to marketing. This has nothing to do with medical finds and all. So from our aspect is, I will not go to an Italian household and say that olive oil is bad and you should be only eating coconut oil. Okay, because there is a genetic history to they've been consuming. Whether we can find that, document that or not, I don't know. But I definitely, the whole point of Ayurveda is try to fix with what something that your ancestors can recognize as food, because your body's ability to recognize this as high, and anything that goes opposite to that is what leads to inflammations, micro-inflammations all over body. Your body is rejecting that food, and that is something I also wanted to touch upon.
Inflammation. I'm hearing a lot about that as an issue as well in people's bodies right now.
Yes. So
Yes.
our body has an inherent ability, just like as I was mentioning about antibiotics and everything. So the most powerful antibiotic, most powerful anti-cancer, most powerful anti-inflammatory, this is all produced in our own body. Our own ability to produce this has gone down. Okay, and that is why now we are looking into more and more external factors to bring that this factor. So
Hmm.
whether it is inflammation, so there is general inflammation going on, whether it is a reaction to allergens or whatever is present in our own food. Okay, it is being widespread. Okay, so now people are trying to counter this by eating products which are promising antioxidant property, like turmeric. Okay, consuming turmeric. But again, here I have to make a distinction that food grade turmeric does not provide the same anti-inflammatory effects compared to a high-end supplement, because of definitely the concentration of curcumin and curcuminoids, the active ingredients of turmeric being much, much higher in a supplement compared to what food grade is. Because this is an argument what people give to me. Hey, if Indians, Asians, they've been eating turmeric for so long, they don't show. But my whole argument is that because they eat food grade turmeric, it is not. And in India, we don't eat like turmeric the way it's been prophesized in Ayurveda. We have forgotten. It's an ancient, like the entire Indian, even Asian cooking. It's not just Ayurveda, but it has all derived from how medicine and home science used to work hand in hand. Like I make a very strong statement when I say that Ayurveda survives. It's such an old system. The only, like, why there is no Egyptian system, or why we are not following a Greek medicine, even though we have all the documents, is because of mothers and grandmothers. Ayurveda survives because it's survived in the kitchen first. Okay, and that is the whole public education system that Ayurveda has created eons back. It is able to empower the woman, the homemaker, to make the best decisions for themselves and for the families.
That's powerful. The idea that our bodies are designed to heal themselves. My question is, once we go so far off the rails for different reasons, lifestyle, food choices, the things that we do or don't do, is there hope for a path back to that more natural sense of balance in each person's body? And is there a timeline? How patient do we have to be to get back to that natural sense of health and wellness and the baseline that's right for us?
It's everyone's, like just imagine it took you for 50, 60 years to develop certain conditions in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how can we then expect just weeks or some months to, just unchange all that? It's, as I mentioned, it's all about our own participation. It's all about our own commitment. It's, as I mentioned, wellness is the journey, and health being the destination. So we can never say that it changes from individual to individual. For some, it can be very fast, like how you were mentioning, through just simple changes in how you breathe. You could find so much of positive effects. Many people do not react to that way of yoga. They do not find, they find yoga either being too slow, or yoga not having, having the patience to do yoga. Okay, so Ayurveda even recognizes this. Like, everyone cannot sit at one place, and they have too much of restless energy within them that they can even do yoga. So how do you create a system even for them? And that is what I'm trying to say. As many of us are there on this planet, that many paths exist. It's as simple as that.
And I would say, if someone is, let's say, someone has any lifestyle disorder, like let's say diabetes or any other lifestyle disorder, they already have it. I know what you mean, how you come back to that natural path or how you become healthy again. So whatever medicines they are taking or whatever treatment is going on, without disturbing that, having good choices of diet and lifestyle, following Ayurveda is always beneficial. That is going to help them for sure, because anybody has any disease or in any condition, any situation, Ayurvedic lifestyle is helpful for us. Because let's say, consider someone is taking some medicine for diabetes because their blood sugar is high, right? So while taking this medicine, we have to make sure that they follow certain lifestyle and certain diet, so they will not have bad impact or their disease will not progress too fast. Right? So someone is healthy or not, with the disease or not, whatever, having healthy lifestyle choices and dietary lifestyle choices is always a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Now I have a question for you, Dr. Trupti, about feminine health and women whose bodies are going through the change and how different we all are. Some people start in their 40s. Some people, like me, are later in the game. Like I'm 55 and my body is just now really starting to begin to change. So how does Ayurveda help a woman who is in that change in her body?
Yes. So I always say, whatever we do in our 30s, that reflects in our 40s. Whatever we do in 40s, that reflects in our 50s, right? Definitely. Because whenever we are seeing certain symptoms, that doesn't happen today or yesterday. It's a process. It's a long process, right? So body shows us symptom, that means that have started somewhere maybe 5-10 years back. Our lifestyle choices or our food, everything, our stress levels, everything contributes to it. Our body type, everything contributes to it. And that is something we are seeing in today. So that's how we have to ask ourselves, where I am today. I always do that. I always tell that to my clients, right? You ask yourself where you are. You are in your 30s. You want better 40s? Start doing something now. Start doing it today. Okay, we could not do it when we are in 20s. We did not have that kind of education or nobody who could tell us. But today, it's never late. To start a good thing, it's never late, right? So if you are in 40s, so we have to understand our health, our needs, our routine. Ayurveda always tells us, never do something you don't like. Even food. Never stop, like never quit or never do something you don't like. They always call Rut Viruddha. So Rut is your heart. And this is a Sanskrit term. So Rut is heart and Viruddha is opposite. So never do something you don't like, because your brain will resist. Definitely, your body will resist, your brain will resist, and end of the day, you will give up. Because that's how we are. We are human. We have to trick our brain. That's how we are. If we try to do something because someone else is doing, or because this is good, and if you don't like it, what happens is you're gonna give up, or you're gonna do it forcefully. You're not happily involved into it. You're not, that positive energy is not there. So we have to ask ourselves, will it work? So we have to ask, if I'm in my 40s, I want better 50s experience, what should I do today? What should be my diet and lifestyle choice today? So if I start doing it today, I will have a better health and wellness in my 50s or after some time. So as Dr. Anurag mentioned, right, it's different for everybody. Definitely it is. You told it, right? It is different for you, different for someone else. So that's how we have to analyze. So we always say, right, so what happens is, okay, there is a leakage in tap. What we do? We cannot just put a bucket. Okay, that bucket is full, put bigger bucket, right? That's not the solution. We have to find out where the leakage is and where to fix that. Buying a bigger bucket or providing bigger bucket is not the solution. So that's what exactly we do with our medicine. It just goes higher dose, then better medicines, expensive medicine, right? And some pills, then 2 pills, 3 pills, better supplements, expensive supplements. We do things like that. Today I'm eating this. After some time, let's say people, they feel like, okay, I can afford better now. I can afford organic. I can afford better supplements, better brand, right? But we have to ask, is it necessary? Can we fix something basic and then go for it? It is needed. I'm not against supplement. I'm not against medicine. But can we make ourselves capable, or can we make our body and mind strong enough to handle things on our own first? Can we make better choices for ourselves? Can we fix basic things which is in our hand? Drinking water, eating, sleeping, right? These things are in our hand. Spending time for ourselves, doing some physical activities, setting up our own biological clock, looking at the season and having our lifestyle set it up for that. So these things are very basic. That is in our hand. Are we doing that first? After that, if we need some extra boost, definitely go for it. Why not? We have a lot of options available today in today's world. But what we do is we have other way around. We try the first outside sources first. And if that is not working, then we don't know. And now what happens is Google. Lots of information is available. Everybody is overwhelmed with a lot of information, and they don't know what to get for them, what will work for them, and they will just keep trying something. Like even Dr. Nurag mentioned, like raw salads or fibers. If we are talking about salads, is greens or salads are not good? What do you think? It is good.
I think it is good.
Nutrients. It is good. It is packed with a lot of nutrients, right? But when we say that, Ayurveda asks you not to eat raw salad, but there is a reason behind it. Even modern researchers are backing up for this. Why? Because if we are eating raw vegetables, the calorie-wise, they are light. But digestion-wise, they are not light. They are heavy to digest because they are raw. When we cook something, right, that will break down chemical composition. The composition is changing when we cook something. Little bit of saute, little bit of grilling, right? So when we combine that with fire, like, so their effect or their composition will change, and that becomes very light on our digestion. Another thing with raw salads is, if we are eating raw salads, mostly people will have lettuce, kale, right? Broccoli, cabbage, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. Whatever name I'm taking, these are crucified vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables, right? So when we say cruciferous vegetables, they have one enzyme which will reduce your thyroid functioning, thyroid hormone. So if we are eating it raw, the amount of enzyme is more. If we cook them, that particular enzyme goes down, and then it will not affect our thyroid functioning. So it's very minute thing, right? And we know thyroid gland is responsible for every other metabolism, every other functioning of our other organs. So if we are eating raw salads, and if it is affecting our thyroid gland, ultimately it is affecting our metabolism. So if metabolism is slower, Even after eating salads, people gain weight. Why? This is the reason.
Mm.
So there is a huge research behind it. And I'm not even grabbing this information from Ayurvedic books. This research is available on Google. Anybody can read it. But yes, Ayurveda said to not eat raw salads, but these are the reasons. So everybody has different type of health. So if you having your proper digestion or your hormone should be proper to have proper metabolism. And if that is hampering, simple change. You just little bit saute or you just grill it. Done. Then you can eat it. That's fine. So these type of small changes, if we do, definitely they help us. They are going to help us. They will help us for sure. So our metabolism will be proper. Our digestion will be proper. Then we will not have this complaint of gaining weight or not losing weight even after eating salads, right? Yeah. So things like that. There are a lot of things.
It sounds very complex, but
Yeah.
if I were to wrap up the conversation, because I think this conversation warrants more time, which we don't have, but if you
True.
were to give 3 kind of key takeaways for the listeners to begin this wellness journey, this health and wellness, which I love the description that you guys gave us of health and wellness. It really
Yes.
clarifies that they're not the same. They're partners in the journey. Wellness is the journey, health is the destination. So, what are 3 things
Mm-hmm,
that you
mm-hmm.
could give to listeners to kind of set their feet on that journey of wellness?
Yes, definitely. We have already mentioned about it. I will mention it one more time. 3 things I would definitely want to say is having participation in our own health and wellness, in our own journey. Because as I said, it's two-way process. We need to be involved. We need to have that positive energy. And what happens is when I want to do something, we do the best, right? So one thing, like I want to do this, right? So that is the level of participation our mind and body both needs to have. So that's when we will not give up and we'll keep doing it. Second thing would be promoting our health and wellness, educating ourselves, educating our family, educating the community is very important. And third one could be prevention. So if we have better lifestyle and better dietary choices, preventing certain diseases or preventing certain lifestyle disorders or even allergies, simple things, right? Prevention of these things, which can hinder our journey of health and wellness, will be very, way better, very easy. So participation, promotion, and prevention are the key words I would say. They are towards our wellness, journey of our wellness, towards our health. Because end of the day, that is the message Ayurveda is giving. I would just briefly tell you how WHO is defining health. Health is a complete state of physical, mental, and emotional, social well-being, not merely absence of any disease. Ayurveda tells us the same thing. Ayurveda tells us we should be physically, mentally, socially healthy to be defined as healthy, not just physical health.
Mm.
So
That's
Ayurveda tells the same thing in Sanskrit. WHO is telling the same thing in English. But end of the day, the idea is same.
Dr. Nair, what are your 3 things that you would like the listeners to kind of take away? Because this conversation is much bigger than an hour can cover. So, what would you dial that down to?
Which I had already mentioned earlier, Gina. The 3 questions that I had posted, that they very much covers the whole wellness status. But adding to that, your water intake, how much of sunlight are you getting? These are like so basic things that we are not even thinking about. So apart from that, how are you able to do nature walks? These 3 recommendations: your water intake, try to have sunlight, and try to go for nature walks. Be as close to nature as possible, because this in itself reduces our stress many folds than any prescription medication or anything can help you out with. And that's what I will definitely like to add to.
Wonderful. Well, I am so grateful that you both said yes to me today because I am constantly on the journey for myself, for my family, and for my tribe to broaden the conversation around health and wellness so that we can make better choices and live healthier, more vibrant lives. And so I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Trupti, Dr. Nair, for coming on and taking the time to share this incredibly life-changing, in two ways, very, very basic, if you will. Like, it almost sounds like, oh, that's too easy, but it's actually more complex because it requires us to stop and pay attention to ourselves and remove ourselves from the conversations around us telling us what to do, and having the courage to empower ourselves to trust what our bodies are saying to us and making choices on that. And so I really appreciate the empowerment, the information. You have both of you were very gentle in your delivery. There was no judgment, but it was such good information. Where can people go to find more information?
You can definitely check us out on shantigram.us. We also have our products on shantigram.shop. The name will definitely be in the description if anybody is having trouble pronouncing or getting to that. So our products are FDA compliant, tested for heavy metals. They're all made in US in GMP and certified and FDA certified facilities. For us, patient safety is one of the, and client safety is number one priority. So we have made sure that every product that comes has been tested prior.
Well, again, I want to thank you both so much for being with me today and for sharing those things that can change.
Thank you so much, Gina, for asking such wonderful questions. People don't realize that the whole art of interviewing is so tough, and it's the presence of mind of the interviewer who are able to extract such beautiful answers from us. And thank you so much for giving us this space.
It was totally my pleasure.
Thank you, Gina.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Today, friends, I've been speaking with Dr. Anurag Nair, Dr. Trupti Gakwad, and they both were sharing the passion that they have for true health and wellness that we can live. And if you head on over to www.feminineroadmap.com/episode 285, I will have links to the website that Dr. Nair shared. So in case you don't know how to spell it or you're driving, you can get that there. Also, friends, I do want to encourage you to do some self-research and figure out what your body is saying to you. Listen to your own body, take that power back, and recognize that we are designed naturally for healing, health, and wellness. And if we've taken a journey that maybe has gotten us off the rails of health and wellness, trust the process, lean in, take the time, take those walks, drink the waters, go to the bathroom, eat the foods that feel right to your body, and stop eating the things that don't feel right to your body. But remember that it's not a quick fix. This is a journey, as Dr. Trupti and Dr. Nair reminded us, that this is a process that we go through. If we can slow ourselves down, breathe better, eat better, think better, sleep better, our lives will exponentially become better. So I encourage you to look into this idea of being your own measure of how you feel and allowing yourself to heal properly. If you have
I would like to add one thing to that. Stop
Yes.
and smell the roses.
Yes, absolutely. Stop and look around. What is there to see and enjoy in the world with nature and water? And it does really impact our bodies, doesn't it? Friends, I want to thank you again for being with us today. I look forward to sharing more inspirational conversations with you in weeks to come. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.